Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a big day on our homestead. We've got a bunch of trees coming our way right now.
Yep, 120 green giant trees,
Yes.
but they're not giants yet.
No, they're green little giants. I actually was just going to get 100,
Yeah.
but I called them and I was like, hey, let's add another 20 because we're trying to really get all the privacy we can get. Our trees are going to be planted about 4.5 feet apart. Very, very close.
Isn't that too close?
It's not too close when we want the privacy really quick. Hopefully the root balls will find their way out.
I
away
bet
from the
someone
line.
on YouTube is going to think that's too close done.
Well, there's always somebody on YouTube that thinks I'm wrong. That's a very common thing.
I mean, it's always a possibility.
That I'm wrong?
Yeah.
But
Hasn't happened before, but there could be a first time.
could be. They're definitely spaced closer than usual. We're trying to get the privacy quick. 6 to 8 feet is more normal, but I have seen where people have successfully planted them very close together and they basically grow and they trim them down like hedges.
Okay.
So it looks like a giant tall bush that's just continuous. So that's what we're going for. Hopefully it works out. If it doesn't, I don't know. Then I screwed up. It'll be the first time.
I'll be ready with an I told you so.
Right.
I'll be there for you.
So we'll see how it goes.
It was quieter on the mountain when we moved here, and it's been getting louder. There's been more people moving in, lots of houses being built, and those big trucks going up the mountain. The rumble of that definitely cuts into my audiobook recording time. I have to stop because of the rumble. And we're doing what we can to make my booth more soundproof. We did some acoustic caulking.
Yeah.
We insulated the shed itself.
The booth is great.
We're doing what we can, but we're hoping that having more of a sound barrier in a couple years as the trees grow. I mean, it can only help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we're with her business here at home, we're able to actually use this towards taxes and all that kind of stuff.
It's a business expense,
Yeah.
putting up a sound barrier. And also, sometimes people drive up onto our private driveway just to look out and see the view. So once the trees grow up and they can't see the view, there will be less incentive for people who don't live here to drive up to take a look.
Yeah, it's beautiful up here. We get it. But like way down by the mailbox, it says private road, end of state maintenance. So we should only have our residents living up here or driving up here.
Yeah. Yeah, we would have loved it, planted them right when we moved in, but it's an expense, and we weren't in the position to do that. But I think I hope we're ready. We're doing it. We're cutting a check today. So
We're doing it now.
We're going to do it.
So we found these guys. They're down by Richmond, and they've got a really good price for us. They're actually planting 3 to 4 foot tall trees, planted and fertilized for $40 a tree. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's a big check in the end, but honestly, if you were finding other contractors around Northern Virginia, it's $75 a tree at least.
Yeah.
So it's going to be worth it. We got a good price on it. And the time it would take me to do what they're about to do, it would take me
A long time.
several weeks to plant that many trees, and they should be done within, 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be here pretty soon, so I'm going to head outside and greet them and watch them get to work.
You're going to get some cool drone shots.
All the cool drone shots.
Of course.
Of course. I'll try not to let a tree fall on the drone this time.
Oh, like the last time.
So,
All right, let's go watch other people do work.
sounds good.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side, our fears are done. All the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before I sleep, side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
So a lot of people would choose the Leland cypress tree for fast-growing privacy trees. And
That's what I thought of first.
Yeah, a lot of people like them, and honestly, they're probably the most planted privacy tree out there. However, in Virginia, after talking with a lot of companies trying to figure out what trees we're going to put in and all that kind of stuff, everybody's saying in Virginia there's some pest and disease issues with the Leland cypress. And I think it's the case whenever there's a lot of the same tree planted in an area, that's when pests will kind of attack that. Kind of like when you're planting in your garden, it's good to have variety so that they can't just wipe out your entire population of whatever you're planting. And I think especially like in suburbia around like more populated areas and people are putting up these trees for fast growth, they're all the same tree in the same area. And so I've heard that in Virginia it's not good to plant those anymore.
Okay.
People that planted them 20 years ago are seeing them die. So you've got the
Giant.
Green Giant, more resistant to all that, and it still has the fast-growing properties and fullness of the Leland cypress.
Cool. How's your coffee?
My coffee's delicious, thank you. How's your tea?
It's great. Thanks.
Glad to hear it. So we're gonna have to water these trees.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Right now we're doing nothing because it's very cold outside.
So when do we have to figure that out by?
By the time the ground thaws. So in the spring,
Okay.
I've been looking into it. If you guys have ever watered trees, like large amounts of trees on your property, comment and let us know what you did. But I've heard of like drip tape and drip irrigation rings with like little rings of rubber hose around the base of the tree.
What would drip tape be?
Well, it's like a hose, but
Okay.
it's not always
You
round.
just
I
call
don't
it
know.
a tape?
Yeah, that's what, I don't know. I'm not an expert.
If you know, drop a comment and let us know, because we
Yeah.
haven't figured out how we're going to water them yet, and
But
we're not close to the hose.
No, not at all. I'm gonna have
So,
to figure that out.
yeah.
It's important that they're watered. With all the research I've done on these trees and everything, especially while they're young, and the root ball's trying to establish itself, I need to have a lot of water to it. I've heard as much as like 3 gallons every
Oh,
3
wow.
days.
Wow.
So I'll have to figure that out later. So we'll get back to you on what we end up choosing. So let's get back to finishing the planting. On the other side of the property, you guys can see that they had the paint marked off and they were starting to drill the holes for the other side of the road where you would first approach our house. So the idea is that inside of these trees will be a fence that I'll put up. I don't know if it's gonna happen next year or not. I'd like it to, but we have all this electric fencing here that we can use in the meantime. So we're gonna put this electric netting on the inside of the tree line here, and it's gonna work out really well to keep animals out, keep animals in, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, it's a good solution, not only for privacy, not only for a sound barrier eventually, but also to help keep our animals protected and safe. Living up on this mountain, the ground can be pretty rocky, so sometimes you'd have good soil to drill through, and other times he'd have a lot of rocks that he would hit, and he would have to rock the auger back and forth at different angles to dislodge the rocks and make sure that we had a good clean hole to plant the tree in. And eventually, after a lot of hard work, they would finish planting all 120 trees. and then they had to mulch. Thankfully, we had a lot of shredded old pine trees left over from taking down the old trees next to the road.
Hey, I'm Brent Mitchell, Mitchell's Ground Management. Today we're doing 120 3 to 4 foot green giants. We serve all of Virginia, North Carolina, anywhere up the East Coast, as long as there's enough of a minimum quantity. Mainly based out of Richmond, Virginia, and definitely excited to do more projects like this.
So 120 green giants are now planted here on our property. In just a matter of a few years, we should have a nice tall curtain. So the first year of growth for these green giants is not going to be quite massive. We shouldn't expect much more than a foot in the first year as the root ball establishes itself. But after that, we're expecting about 3 feet a year, give or take, depending on the conditions and all that kind of stuff, how much rain we get. After about 2 or 3 years, I'm going to start maintaining these trees by taking to them and trimming them. We don't really want them to get taller than about 20 to 25 feet at the very tallest. I mean, 15 feet would be plenty for us. Basically so that when people are driving up here, they can't look over the tree line right here and see our house and even see that view. We want to block the view from everybody else. The less beautiful view there is right here, the less likely people will be to stop randomly behind our house. So we want it to grow tall, but not too tall. We don't want it to mess with the telephone line that's above us, and we don't want it to grow too wide because we don't want it to go into the street. So I'm going to be investing in some larger, heavier duty shears, like trimming shears, probably like a Ryobi 40 volt, and make sure that in a few years I can easily trim the front, back, and the top of these as they grow into a really thick hedgerow kind of style privacy screen. We have a lot coming up this year. The year 2021 is going to be even more transformative than the year 2020 was. I mean, we are finishing this house, people. We are going to finish it. And we've got a deck that's going to be built on the front of it. We've got possibly new animals that we'll be adding to our homestead, livestock lineup, and it's gonna be a very busy year once again. So hopefully you guys will stick around this coming year as we finish out this house, add more to the homestead, and keep living our best little mountain life. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Well, I hope you're